So if you tuned in yesterday, you know that I'm an absolute junkie, behavioral junkie when it comes to books. I mean, just look at all of those. Ridiculous, right? But there's one type of book that's missing. Well, it has been missing. And that book is a book about behavior analysis in the day-to-day. What it's like being a behavior analyst. The day-to-day chronicle, recording and sharing of what it's like being a behavior analyst. And I wanted to talk about it today, just encouraging people to check it out. We're taught in behavior analysis that behavior is anything a living organism does. That means the possibilities of this field are endless. The majority of the work, however, is completed in helping people with neurodiversity, such as autism, learn new skills. People with intellectual disabilities, learning skills, making their lives more independent. There's a lot of different models out there, but primarily that is the work that over 85%, I believe, of people are doing in this field. Part of the struggle that I myself, and I know a number of others have gone through in this field is deciding and figuring out how you're going to decide if you want to commit your life to something like going to grad school, getting a master's degree, becoming a board certified behavior analyst, these sort of large questions. Like, do you commit to the monetary costs, the sacrifices of the years of learning to be able to master this field, to go through your board exams? Those are tough questions. And traditionally, I think this is handled through people doing the work on an individual one-on-one level, helping people learn new skills and enjoying that day-to-day process. But there's a couple of things that come from that. First of all, we don't have a lot of perspectives to share in mediums outside of the one-on-one, like daily interaction, which is definitely gonna be the best way to know if you like it, but things like this help. And then the actual day-to-day work of a behavior analyst is shifted from the direct work of helping others into more of this managerial, train the trainer sort of model where you're working through others. And so Shane Spiker, if you don't know about him, he's a behavior analyst, active, hilarious, funny, humble, just a great human that I don't even remember how we met. I think he reached out saying that he wanted to be a part of this online community that we were kind of trying to shape up. And we were like, hey, the minimum requirements are like meeting weekly. And he's like, I don't have time for that. And then he came back around a few years later and he was like, hey, I'm ready to do some stuff. I believe that's the story, Shane. I know you're watching this. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But he embodies a few things to me that, in addition to that, which kind of the biggest one is do no harm and take no shit. That rule of our ethics need to be the utmost priority, and we need to be helping people with their dignity in mind all the time. He had mentioned that he was going to start a printing press to be able to make books, WND Press. And I was like, well, that's a bold move, but it's also how some of my favorite books have come out of behavior analysis. I have an entire shelf up here from Context Press, an independent press that was developed in Reno, Nevada, just coincidentally where I'm based right now, that set the grounds for contextual behavioral science. If you go to contextualpsychology.org, that movement was made possible through a lot of hard work of a lot of people. One of the most important things, what I consider the spine of that movement, the backbone of that movement, was Context Press, because there are oftentimes ideas, and this is embedded into here. I'm going to show you some examples. There's oftentimes things that are extremely valuable to a small number of people that really need that information, but it's not important enough, sadly, to large publishers. It's just not a large enough market for the capitalistic pressures of our society to be able to create a book in a larger printing press. And so independent works can be absolutely amazing bridges for these sort of things. And so when I heard Shane saying that he was going to work on making a press, I think he's partners with somebody else, I was like, you know what, this seems to be in vein, right? In line with the things I've come to love about behavior analysis, which is setting the groundwork and putting things out there that typically aren't out there just because of forces that are outside of the control of this field. Not that it's not needed in the field, it's the deck stacked against sharing ideas like this. And so Anxiety Report by Shane T. Spiker, I'll read the back for you real quick. Anxiety Report chronicles a year in the life of Shane T. Spiker. Now, Dr. Shane T. Spiker. Husband, dad, behavior analyst, student, instructor, and any number of hats you can name, he spends a year recording his adventures and thoughts through a behavioral lens. United, unapologetic, sometimes uninspired, but also honest, emotional, and sometimes funny. Shane tells the story of what it's kind of like to be a behavior analyst day by day, 365 days a year. He thought it was a good idea at the time. And so if I were to find some snippets here, there's two from September I'm going to read. 9/3/2019. Dorian leveled the Bahamas. It's devastating. We tend to joke about stuff like this and pretend that Floridians aren't that worried, but Andrew in the 90s and Michael last year were awful. Even Charlie and the rest were a wreck. They aren't something to take lightly. These events always make me think about altruism and contingencies around disasters. Most often people seem to be kinder to each other. They seem to help more. We forget about #SharpieGate and our idiot politicians for a moment and work to keep each other safe. Even if altruism doesn't really exist, the kind of kindness and support we see from each other is truly amazing and humbling. And he includes an observation with each one that occurred during the day. And this one he says, at the gas station, a man who I'd never met said, "It's a good day to fly a kite," which tells me that dad humor is still alive and well. This is a good example of like some of the great entries that are in here where you get a real world event that's affecting people. You get a behavioral perspective thought, right? Where he's trying to relate it into things that we think about in behavior analysis, things that are really prevalent and how we can maybe, foster and encourage more altruistic behavior in societies, not because of these horrible events, but like that's where it gets me going, is like, how could we foster the things that we see in these horrible events just as part of our day-to-day for the right reasons, right? So it gets me thinking in these sort of really good thought patterns of, what can our science do to help people out? But then it ends with sometimes a little bit of humor there. So you get like just this mixed bag of emotions that is just, real, authentic. It's living up to the back of the book. And I really, really appreciate that, Shane. Another one here, 9/6/2019. So a few days later, he says, next year is going to be intense in terms of presenting. Looking at what's coming up, it looks like a hectic year. With CalABA, ABI, APBA, FABA, TexABA, and our Supervision Summit, it's going to be incredible. COVID wrecked that. Today, I've been working on some talks coming up. I've got 6 presentations in the next 3 weeks, and I've barely started. Now people are relying on me to get stuff done. Maybe I said yes to too many things, ? His observation, I'm definitely feeling imposter syndrome right now. Something he's actually talked about on this channel, but I don't know, you get a taste, a little sense into like what it may be like to be a behavior analyst. Whether it's some of the things that have to do with clients and helping others, or in Shane's case where you're doing a bit of that and you're also doing these other things like traveling around, training others and providing supervision. But it's one of what I could see being a fantastic series, and I hope that's where it's going, Shane, of just all the different roles in behavior analysis. Like, we need more of this. We need this from behavioral therapists that are working day to day, and group homes that are working EIBI centers that are helping, forge new services. We need this from the CEO. We need this from content creators like myself and others out there. We need this to really share and show what it looks like in the day and the life of a behavior analyst with all the multifaceted roles and hats like you described on the back of this wear. And I really think you're setting a trend, man. I hope other people do this. I hope that they will consider reaching out to WND Press. I encourage anyone to do that, to get this as like a recurring theme in line. I hope you're cool with me even suggesting this, Shane, because I haven't even talked to you about this, but I want to see more of these. I want people to check them out. If we're going to truly save the world with behavior analysis, as we like to think that we can, we're going to need honest depictions of what the field's really like. Not that these aren't included in these books necessarily, like these are showing the science side of things. I look at books like this as ways to show people early on when they're considering getting into the career whether or not they think that it's for them, whether or not they'd want to subscribe to a whole different worldview and the stressors and pressure that come from a field like behavior analysis and human service delivery. So check it out. Links down below. Shane, thank you, man. Hope it's cool that I shared this. And I don't know. You're a good human, man. We need more of this. We need more of this. I'd love to see that. I'll catch y'all later. Check the book out. Peace.